Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Comedian Buddy Hackett said this, and it kind of reminds me of home from years gone by. As a child, my family's menu consisted of two choices. Take it or leave it. How true. Hey, good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. And I want to start things rolling with a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning to you. And a good morning to you and yours. Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and, of course, the best in service. And we also want to acknowledge Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, I had a feeling you were going to call, Jerry. God bless you, man. Thanks for doing the pledge. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You have a wonderful day, and hopefully I can live up to that honor you gave me of calling me what you did.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
May the Lord bless you.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. And right now, the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hebron. Hello, Roger and the crew. They get there early in the morning, and they've got the best of rental of tools and equipment, all the biggest, all the best, all that you need for any kind of a project. You be sure and get a hold of them today. Now, listen, I would urge you to remember the number and call first if you have questions. 678-3122. K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Drying out for the next couple of days, then more rain showers. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting partly to mostly cloudy skies for today. A slight breeze out of the south, high right around 54. Tonight, clouds are going to stick around with a low of 31. Tomorrow, partly sunny skies, still a little bit breezy, high of 57. By Tuesday night, more clouds with a low of 39. Slight chance of rain showers for Wednesday, high of 50. Thursday, back to partly sunny skies and 46. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I'll take it. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And brought to everybody by K&R Rental. Boy, I mean, they've got a front yard that's just full of tools and equipment for you for rental on both long and short term. All you need to do is stop in. They can help you, and you ask questions about what you need to finish a project. They're there to help. Absolutely at K&R Rental. 256 South, 600 West of Hebron, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway, 678-3122. Caller, you know the drill. I'll be there momentarily, I promise. I want to remind everybody, I've got to get into Daryl's Cleaners. My goodness, I told Kevin here 2 weeks ago I'd be over there. Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, my goodness, they are the best at what you need them to do, and that's keep your clothes looking sharp and nice for you. Absolutely. So stop in. Work with the best. I mean, whether it's dry cleaning or they'll even do your wash if they know you're busy and everything. They'll wash, dry, fold your clothes just like Mama used to at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Really, really nice people. A real quick note, too, that somebody else that gets to their office and turns the key early in the morning, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, and literally this sentence sums it up. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. All is absolutely right. And the knowledge with decades, 7 decades of experience serving you to provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Caller, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb, and a happy delayed anniversary to you and Deanne.
I appreciate that. Yes, my lovely bride and I, now 49 years in the books and aiming at 50 next year.
Well, the day's kind of special for us, too.
Is
59 years.
Wow, 59 years. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you. I don't know how Nancy stood it. Happy anniversary to you.
Thank you so much, Reb.
Okay.
Now back to the real world.
Yes.
You know, people like Dr. Fauci should be really ashamed of themselves, how they took this COVID thing and bat it around and make it worse than what it is. It is serious, I know, but, you know, doing this, and I'm not especially blaming him, but the Pfizer and these other people who have created this, deliberately holding back until after the election to release it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that is very, very un-American. How many people have lost their lives just because of that delay?
Well, I can't tell you about what was ascertained by the delay as you speak, but I'm just going to say that Fauci and Birx and others that were brought into the tent along with the Trump administration to help talk to the public, help educate the public, tell the people what COVID-19 was, what they thought it would do, what it could do. If you'll think back all the way to January, their stories and their summations always were changing. Well, it's not that bad. It's kind of like the flu. Well, you don't have to wear a mask and all this. And then, of course, all the changes that took place in their attitude and their approach to COVID were a black mark and a slap in the face to President Trump, of which the left blamed him for everything.
Yeah, and you know what? The problem with the Trump administration is that he's always had too many enemies in his camp.
Yeah.
You know, they pretended they were behind him, and they're just terrible, terrible people.
Well, we have a situation in this country right now where you've got a former president by name. I'll sing his name out. I don't like the man. I've never appreciated or respected the man because I don't like his politics. It has nothing to do with his race. And don't anybody tell me I'm playing the race card. I cannot stand Barack Obama. He's smug. He's arrogant. He's disgusting. And he is basically, over the weekend, calling out President Trump and really denigrating Trump, saying that he ought to get out of Dodge, I'm paraphrasing, and let Biden have the concession that he's the new president. Wait a minute. The states have not yet certified all their ballots, and I do not in any way, shape, or form mind at all a verification of the vote, especially when we're hearing there were a lot of loose ends that took place.
You know, Obama is the most silver-tongued president we've ever had. He just goes on, and these people just fall right into place.
Yeah.
You know, he was a terrible person. He's been very gifted, but that doesn't make him a good person.
Yeah, I just don't like the man, and I think even less of his wife after her comments this last week about people that supported Donald Trump, people that 73 million people that voted for Trump, and her denigration of them. That's not the way to bring a country together. Keith, it's so good to hear from you. Happy anniversary to you and Nancy. Absolutely a wonderful couple. Thank you so much.
I am so proud that and happy that, Deanne is doing very well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
God bless her.
All right, sir. God bless. Thank you. Want to remind everybody, a caller, I'll be right there. Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, boy. Delicious food. And they've got the turkey dinners available, and they've got delicious pies for the season. Oh, my. The menu choices for breakfast, lunch, and dinner are out of this world delicious. Absolutely. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like I said. And, of course, great desserts. It's all there at America's Diner. Denny's Restaurant. 2 locations, 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. You stop in today to Denny's Restaurant. Absolutely. I tell you what, delicious. Caller, I'll be right there. I want to remind everybody, too, about Dino Septic Service. My, these folks are good. And they purchased enough equipment to be serving everybody all over southern Idaho. I mean to tell you, new equipment. They got all those cameras to survey the problem and everything. And when it comes to sewer and sink drain line cleaning or septic tank pumping or septic inspections, I'll tell you, these are the people to call. I know because they've worked for us. Good folks. Dino Septic Service. And the number's 436-6526. In Burley, 678-1638. And in the Twin Falls area, 735-8281. Absolutely the best. Dino's Septic Service. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zev. Congratulations. You are joining the club.
What club is that?
54 years for Mary and I, and it's 49 for you guys, and that's a record for a lot of people.
Oh, I know it is. I know it is. And I have been blessed with the wonderful, 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 caring wife that has just done so much to help me in my career, and I know you feel the same way about Mary.
Absolutely. One thing I want to bring up about Joe Biden, and I hope he still loses the election. This guy is up for sale to the highest bidder. And unfortunately, the highest bidder is Communist China. And if Joe Biden gets in, China will infiltrate every electronic company that we've got to get our secrets. And we will really be in some danger.
Well, I think that with the Biden administration, with Kamala Harris, and I don't really care how you are supposed to pronounce her name, it makes no difference to me. I think with a Biden administration, we are going to see high tech literally run, rule, and dictate what happens in this country. I feel that way. I really do.
Well, they're going to be stealing all our high-tech military information, and pretty soon they'll have control of everything on this earth and outer space because they have all the technology handed to them by the Biden administration.
Yeah. I make no bones about it that high-tech, I think, is what got Biden elected, if he is going to be certified in that regard. I think high-tech will control our society much, much, much more so than it is already. And I'm not trying to sound pessimistic. I'm being realistic.
Absolutely. We'll be like communist China. Those people living in those communist countries are like a bunch of zombies.
Yep.
That's what it is.
It's time to fight back, and I'm going to give some of those circumstances here, as a matter of fact. Hey, I really do appreciate your call, and you and Mary are special people. Thank you so much.
One day we're going to surprise you guys, and we're going to go out for wherever we can go.
I hope so. I'll look forward to it. Thank you, Tony. God bless you. Be careful out there.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Real quick, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Happy Thanksgiving from Baker Brothers Pump Service. These people are so doggone reliable. I mean, I am amazed at their service. 103 West, 500 South of Burley. Number to call, 678-9042. From residential and commercial pump service to water softener sales and service, believe me, I know firsthand, they are good. Baker Brothers Pump Service. Mountain Transmissions, 1146 East Main in Burley, right across from Stokes Food Center. If you've got a little bit of a transmission problem, hey, they provide free towing, free diagnostic, and free estimates. Mountain Transmission, 678-9110. And Magic Valley Irrigation with our old buddy Jeff at 44 East, 500 South of Burley, 678-3101. They want to extend to you a very, very happy Thanksgiving. And don't forget, they've got all your irrigation needs. Good people at Magic Valley Irrigation. And they all wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. By the way, talking about Thanksgiving, and I make no bones about this, and if somebody gets upset, poor baby, the government is in our home now for Thanksgiving. Yes, they have taken a seat, if you will, at the table. This is unbelievable. Governor Newsom in California and this guy really is an evil person, this Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York State, are saying no more than 10 people in your home for Thanksgiving. And no more than 2 hours of celebration. And, if possible, eat outside, and no chanting, praying, or singing. What? Wait a minute. I got to look over here for a second. The Constitution of the United States of America. And then in big letters, we the people. We the people. And yet you have these absolute stooges like Newsom and Cuomo coming out and saying they are going to control Thanksgiving gatherings. And to take it one step further, I mean, this is unbelievable. MSNBC news host last week said one of the sleaziest and absolutely one of the lowest remarks I've ever heard in my life. He said that the Republicans are deliberately, listen to this carefully, he said the Republicans are deliberately trying to spread COVID-19 virus. He said this because a New York City councilman said he is not going to cancel Thanksgiving with his family. And so right away the news media, saddled up next to and riding with idiots like Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, come out and say, well, he's a Republican, that's why he said that, and he's trying to spread the COVID virus. Let me tell you something. There are 11 of us in my immediate family with my daughter and my son and my lovely bride, 11, celebrating Thanksgiving. Who draws the short straw? Who stays home if they want to push the number 10 figure? We're talking about government telling us what we can do, what we can say, where we can go, how many people can go to a church service. I mean, this is unbelievable. And this is just Thanksgiving. Oh, my. 30 days hence after Thanksgiving, what have they got in mind and in store for a curtailment, cutoff, or shutdown of Christmas? You know, there was a movie, and I hope you'll see the connection here. There was a movie that John Wayne put out years ago called McClintock. And in that movie, a guy comes up to him and keeps poking him in the stomach with a shotgun. And John Wayne backs up. And this guy pokes him in the belly again with the shotgun. And John Wayne backs up. 30 times this guy pokes him in the belly with a shotgun, and John Wayne stopped. And he said, somebody should hit you right in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. Oh, the hell I won't. And then he perpetrates and beats up the guy with the shotgun. Well, I use that same analogy over what the government is doing to us every day, attacking our personal lives. You can't have more than 10 people. We want you to eat outside. Can you imagine standing outside in the colder climes, whether it's Minneapolis, Wisconsin, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, whatever, and eating a frozen turkey leg? I want you to call me and let me know. We the people should say we've had enough. Back off. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Your home is the one place where everything should be perfect, including your air. Ramsey Heating and Electric helps you achieve the perfect air you deserve with reliable, groundbreaking, award-winning Lennox products. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric and see how you can get a Lennox home comfort system that will help improve your health. Don't forget, call them today at 678-0459 or visit RamseysOnline.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Certainly it must bother you. Certainly it must make you mad to think that the government is trying to infringe on everything you do 24/7, 365, every waking or sleeping moment of the day. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jim. You know, in that movie of McClintock, there's also another learning moment there. Was this guy that was poking him with the shotgun. That was his daughter that had been so-called captured by the Indians, and they were getting these people all up in arms over nothing.
Yeah.
Because in comes the gal. She went for a little ride with the guy she liked.
Yep.
And so often we jump the gun and start blaming people who are not. They're just innocent. That's all there is to it.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of teaching moments in everything of older movies and television that had some class, had some family values, etc. But the reason I brought up that one segment, he backed up 3 times. And then finally that was enough. And we've backed up more than that as people of the United States and let the government intrude on our everyday living to where they tell us everything we can do, everything we can eat, everything we can or cannot use, like plastic straws. I mean, the list goes on. I don't have time for everything right now. But I've had enough, and it's time for a little word of revolt. And I heard that word being used on an interview early this morning on Fox News, as a matter of fact. People are having enough of a government intrusion into their lives, especially into their church lives, into their lives at home. I mean, telling somebody, Keith, that they can only have about 10 people and have it outside, limit it to 2 hours, no chanting, singing, or praying. I mean, come on, get real. That's all the more reason we should stand up and tell them to stick it in their ear.
Well, it's got my family paranoid. You know, I have a daughter that, you know, she likes to do everything that's right. And she believes this is the thing to do, so we're not going to have a gathering this year.
And that is a terrible crime. It's a shame. It's pitiful. And everything else that I can think of, because you are an older gentleman. I'm getting up close to where you are. And time and family memories are of essence. They can never be repaid or revisited. And I am sick and tired of the government trying to come in and say, thou shalt not do.
You know, it's ironic that we're just almost exactly 10 years apart on everything. 10 years since we are part of our marriage.
Yep.
And anniversary and our age. Everything is just 10 years difference, but yet our thinking is the same.
Absolutely. I will not weaken on this. I live in a free country where the First Amendment of free speech affords me the right to voice my opinion, and I'm sick and tired of being cowed and led and pushed by a government that wants control. Keith, I've got to give away some cookies, and I got another call. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Thank you. Caller, can you hang loose for a few minutes or go ahead quickly, and I've got to give these cookies away real fast. I'll put your call on the air.
Well, I'm not going to give up Thanksgiving, and I'm not going to give up Christmas. I don't care who says what, when, or where. I'm going to go to church. I'm not going to stop. I haven't stopped, and I'm not going to stop. My God is my leader, and he'll be my main leader all my life, and that's how it's going to be.
Good.
You guys can give up anything you want, but I don't believe you will. I think you're too strong for that.
Well, I didn't say I was.
People in this country are strong enough to walk over these guys that's trying to make everything ruled by them and their corrupt government.
You know, I just don't understand the people in New York State, and I certainly don't understand the people in California, why they haven't just told Governor Newsom and Governor Cuomo, look, fine, you want to make those edicts? Back it up with law, and then by then we're going to have a revolution in this country, and we're going to throw you out of office. But telling people what they can and can't do on Thanksgiving, what they can and can't do as far as attending their house of worship, I mean, look what they've done to the Jewish community back in New York. I mean, they've absolutely targeted them. I mean, this is absolutely insidious, and it's got to stop. We, the people, need to tell them to stick it in their ear, like I said a moment ago.
Well, I agree with that. I'll go along with you 100%, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
By the way,
I got a nurse here ready to go to work on my bunion.
Okay, well, by the way, what's the name of your dog?
He said his bunion, not his butt.
Oh.
She said my bunion, not my behind.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad we had a clarification. That makes me feel better. Thank you, Jerry. I got to run. I want to remind everybody about our Thanksgiving wishes from Golden Valley Warehouse, 468 West, 1000 South of Burley. Oh, they tell their customers thank you for all their business. Absolutely. Their customers feel like family and friends. Good people at Golden Valley Warehouse, 468 West, 1000 South of Burley, 678-7324. Vicky's Country Store. I've got to talk to that lady today. 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Don't forget, and she's got gift certificates, great stocking stuffers for Christmas. Get a hold of her today for next spring and summer's gardening. Vicky at 431-5667, Vicky's Country Gardens. And AMI, 719 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-4632. Look for the big 28-foot wrench over the door. You'll go nuts over their bolts. Absolutely. These are good people at AMI. All of them wishing you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving. Caller, quickly. I'm running so late right now. Go ahead fast. You're on the air.
Yeah, I heard that Newsom said you can't have more than 10 people and churches are closed and everything. But yet in San Diego, there are two famous strip clubs. They're allowing them to stay open.
Yeah. Yep, that's very true. Very true.
Tell you everything you need to know about where his heart is and his soul.
Yeah, but Doug, I don't care. Somebody's going to get offended. Somebody's going to call Lee Family Broadcasting or a group of somebody's, and they're going to demand that I get thrown off the air for being an insurrectionist and everything else. I don't care. It's time for the American people to stand up tall and revolt against the idiocy of government controlling every aspect of their lives.
Exactly. We have a Constitution and a Bill of Rights for a reason.
That's right.
And we need to start electing officials that use that as guidelines. See the Constitution and the Bill of Rights as guidelines instead of an obstruction.
Yeah, I just don't understand why people are adhering to and following through and bowing down to the altar of government. No, don't do it. Just spit in their eye and say no. 250 years ago, Doug, if those people that lived on the East Coast that came here from England had kowtowed and bowed down, we wouldn't be where we are today, and we certainly wouldn't have this country.
No, we wouldn't. We would not. And another thing, too, with this election, with this Dominion, I've tried to find out if Idaho uses that process to count the vote.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to find anything.
Well, I'm going to try to get into that in a little bit, but there's some other stories that have taken precedence, and this is one of them. Thanksgiving should be a time for families to stand together, pray together, eat together, and enjoy being together, and damn the politician that stands in the way.
Yes, and every American should be proud that they were born in this country instead of countries like Venezuela and Cuba.
Amen.
I mean,
amen.
That's the biggest thing to be thankful for right there, that God allowed you to be born in the United States, to be a U.S. citizen, where you can have the rights that you have that they are trying to take away.
There you go.
We stand up.
I got to give my cookies away. I'm really late, Doug. Thank you very much.
Late, aren't you?
Yes.
Hey, everybody, let's do what we can for senior centers. I know I'm a broken record, but it's that time of the year, giving season, and being thankful. And let's be thankful that what the seniors did when they were young and what they did for this country to make it what it is today. So it's time to thank them and go eat there and leave with a full tummy and a full heart.
There you go. I'm running late. Hey, it's time to give away some cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. My goodness sakes, what a fantastic restaurant. Oh, and what a delicious, fantastic bakery. I mean, all the cookies and the pies and the cakes. Oh, that peach pie we had from them not too long ago. Woo, was it good. Don't forget Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. And if you answer this question correctly, you'll win a dozen cookies. Call them and let them know when you will be in to pick them up. Okay, now here's the question. Pay attention. In the movie The Cowboys with John Wayne, what town were they driving the cattle to? John Wayne and the Cowboys. What town were they driving the cattle to? It was mentioned many, many times in the movie. What town were they driving the cattle to before the bad guys interceded? What town in the movie The Cowboys were they driving the cattle to? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. Was it Belfouche?
Can you turn your radio down or whatever so I can hear you? Say it again, please.
Say, was it Belfouche?
Yes, Belfouche, South Dakota is right. What's your name?
Jim Roberts.
Jim Roberts?
Roberts.
Okay, well, Jim, you are the winner. It was Belfouche, South Dakota. You are 100% spot on. Thank you, sir. God bless you, and happy Thanksgiving to you.
Same to you, sir.
Thank you much.
Cookies are delicious.
Thank you. Yep, Belfouche, South Dakota. And then all of a sudden the bad guys, led by actor Bruce Dern, took over, and it got really sticky. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear about the rally for Donald Trump this past Saturday in Washington, D.C.? Tens of thousands of people showed up for that rally, and it was peaceful. It was American pride with the flags and everybody standing up and the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. It was absolutely wonderful until the evening sat upon the city. And then Antifa and BLM started beating up people. And the Associated Press in their coverage of the story, not once, because they're cowards and sleaze, mentioned Black Lives Matter or Antifa. I've got the story right here in my hand. They glossed over who the thugs and the punks and the worthless persons were. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. With locations at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Napa location. And they do have all the equipment for the lifting, the digging, the pushing, the carrying, the grading, the leveling. Oh, my. They've got all the bobcats and shapes and sizes, trenchers, scissor lifts, all the Doosan, wheel loaders and excavators. Oh, my. All you need to do is get a hold of them today, and if you're not sure how to run it, they'll teach you in the sandbox out behind the business. Barry Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. You stop in and see those good folks today. Caller, thank you for your patience. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, 2 points. Good morning, by the way.
Yes.
The reason Antifa does all their stuff at night is because they have the cover of darkness and becomes anonymous. Yes.
You want to try anonymous?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
And so that's why they do everything at night. They don't want to be identified. That's why they wear the mask, the big mask, because they don't want to be identified. And you're right, they are cowards.
They are filthy.
All this stuff with the government, with Thanksgiving, it's all to denigrate and destroy the family. If they destroy the family, they have 100% control.
Absolutely. This article this morning, and I cut it out, and everybody can read it. It was in the Times News, which is a rag to reckon with. But it was on the front page, and it said, violence, several arrests at D.C. rally. The subheadline says, tensions flare between pro-Trump marchers, counter-demonstrators. Okay, the pro-Trump people never did a thing. Nothing. Nada. I know because I've talked to people that were there. Nothing to incite any problem whatsoever. And at night when the march was over and they went to various outside restaurants sitting on the street and everything, that's when Antifa and BLM came by with fireworks, some of which were high-grade commercial fireworks. They set off and injured people. They beat people up. They cold-cocked a guy trying to get on his little Honda to go home. And never once in this story was there a mention of the arrests of people that were with Black Lives Matter and Antifa. No Trump rally people were arrested because they did nothing wrong, caller.
Right, and that's what the media wants you to believe. They don't want you to know the truth, because if you know the truth, then they have no story and they have no backing with what they're trying to do.
Let me ask you this, and I have right here in my hand proof that Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors, that has absolutely come out and praised Marxist and communist doctrine and hates family values, they have put a demand, I don't know if you've heard this or not, but they've put a demand on the Biden-Harris ticket saying, hey, you'd better listen to us. We want to be part of your agenda. We want you to prioritize our agenda or else. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yep. And just like with John Wayne, I'll take it for a little while, but by then you better be watching out because we're coming after you.
But it needs to start now, though. It needs to start now.
Done the backup.
Yeah, I mean,
backed up.
I know you, and I know your family, and I know that the holidays mean a lot to you. And when the government starts intruding into your home and your family saying you can only have 10 and you better do it outside and you can only do it for 2 hours, these are things that absolutely send red flags up for me to turn around and absolutely bloody the nose of whoever is telling us that.
Absolutely. And it just frosted my onions because it is wrong. You're not going to tell me when I can be with my family and how many of my family can be there.
Absolutely.
We will have gatherings. We will, and if they don't feel comfortable about coming, like Keith mentioned, that is their choice. But you are not going to stop us.
Amen.
Those who want to come, feel comfortable, fine. If you feel like you need to wear a mask, that is your choice.
Absolutely.
But I will not and cannot, because I go into panic mode and anxiety attacks, and it's not a pretty sight. And so that is my choice. That is my condition. But I am not going to force somebody else to wear a mask or not wear a mask.
Amen.
That's their choice, but you're not going to force me either.
Yeah, but wearing a mask is a lot different than telling you on behalf of the government that you can't even congregate as a group.
Exactly. Yeah, and you're not going to tell me that either, because like I say, if our family wants to get together, whether it be birthday, whether it be an anniversary, Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, we will.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate your standing up, and by golly, I'll stand with you. Thank you so much.
All righty.
All right. Take care. Caller, good morning. I'll take your call, and then I've got to go to the weather. This is a morning where Zeb's clock is broken, and I'm not doing very well to catch up. Go ahead, please.
Well, good morning, and masks don't work to prevent the virus. Lockdowns obviously don't work. The contact tracing doesn't work. So all of these things are telling us to prevent the spread, we need to do exactly what South Dakota did. That governor there, I can guarantee you, they're not going to restrict any amount of people to be able to meet for the holidays or whatever. They've never closed down their businesses. They've used individual responsibility, safeguarded the seniors, and here we are. Look, I mean, this is looking more like a communist, socialist, Marxist state right now. We're just rapidly moving to Venezuela.
Yeah.
With what's going on here, Zeb.
Well, I don't know what you're planning on doing for Thanksgiving. It's none of my business, but I would say that if it entertains being with your family and the numbers are over 10, so be it. If it involves everybody sitting around the house and maybe singing a Christian song or praying before you eat, do it. I will not have the government infringe, and if I want to spend more than 2 hours with my family, whether it's 4, 6, 8, whatever the number, watching football games and having more pumpkin pie, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be told I can't.
Well, you and me both, boy. I tell you, this whole thing, I've been out, I'm walking and not being locked up in my house. I know people yet, they're just totally, they use the number of cases. And here's the bottom line with the cases thing. They're using a test that gives you so many false positives. The CDC itself said if you don't have symptoms, don't get tested, because with the tests that are right there now, you're liable to find you have COVID-19 and you really don't have it at all. It's the test is so flawed, and they know that it's flawed. But when Biden gets in there, all of a sudden they'll use a different testing procedure, and all of a sudden he'll be a big hero. The cases are going to go down, and COVID-19 has been solved. You just wait and see.
I got to run, Adrian. Please have the respect for my time because I'm way late. Thank you, my dear friend. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
We've got to stand up for the Constitution and our individual liberties. This is the greatest country in the world, but we can't let it go down the drain just because a few bureaucrats tell us so.
Amen. Thank you. Right now, let's go to the weather forecast. Oh, boy, is Zebber late. Yes, he is. Mount Harrison Audiology, and believe me, you can trust your hearing health to them. They've got all the latest practices and technology for your hearing health. I urge you to write this number down and give them a call. 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And you can protect your hearing health. Located right behind the Minidoka County Hospital, across from the emergency room. Mount Harrison Audiology. Here's Gina with the weather.
Drying out for the next couple of days, then more rain showers. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting partly to mostly cloudy skies for today. A slight breeze out of the south, high right around 54. Tonight, clouds are going to stick around with a low of 31. Tomorrow, partly sunny skies, still a little bit breezy, high of 57. By Tuesday night, more clouds with a low of 39. Slight chance of rain showers for Wednesday, high of 50. Thursday, back to partly sunny skies and 46. That's a look at your weather for Zebeth Reyes.
Oh, thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And the weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And let me tell you, if you're noticing a diminishment in your hearing, please try to call them and get an appointment today. And they can help you, believe me, with the best technology to provide the most comprehensive treatment available at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. You know, it goes without saying that a lot of people, unfortunately, are going to kowtow, bend over backwards, and basically, oh, the government told me to do this, so I'm not going to have Thanksgiving. I'm going to sit in my little 7x9 kitchenette area, and I'm going to just have I'll go out and I'll make a little bitty turkey, and I'll have maybe a little pumpkin pie all by myself. Bunk. Absolute bunk. Ladies and gentlemen, I honestly believe, and I don't care who cuts me down and says, oh, you're preaching insurrection. Yes, I am. Doggone it. I'm preaching insurrection to get back to family values, God values in our country, and not be dictated to 24/7, 365 by people in three-piece suits and wingtip shoes that don't know come here from Sikkim. And don't give me this garbage, well, they know they've got all the scientific facts. No, they're not scientists. They're politicians that are doing things and trying to force things that are not law. It's happened even here in our state of Idaho. Don't give me that garbage. But if we don't stand up and fight back, it'll be way too late. Which leads me... Later on this morning, we're going to have a gentleman on the program by the name of Dennis Hakes, and there's going to be a community prayer rally at the Freedom Park next to the Burley Airport and Little League Fields this coming Saturday at 2 p.m. I urge you to be in attendance, and God bless America. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. You know, I am right there with you as far as this not being able to have Thanksgiving. It's going to end up being not going to be able to share Christmas with our grandkids.
Oh, sure.
You know, go ahead.
No, I agreed with you. I said, oh, sure, that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, the sad thing about it is we, the people, are letting them get away with it. If they close down the country like Biden wants to do, again, we are sunk.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to interrupt you right there.
Some of these little mom-and-pop places and small gift shops and stores, they can't reopen because they couldn't survive the first shutdown.
I have already contacted some of our political, I would say, hierarchy and people that I trust in the state of Idaho. And I've told them that if we are going to be kind of condensed down by our governor again to go into a shutdown that might be in adherence to something that the Biden administration says after the first of the year, I am going to get on this radio until they pull the plug and advise that every single business stay in effect and stay open and fight back.
Yep, I'll be right there with you, sir. I am so sick of this. You know, we the people need to stand up and say, okay, Bucko, enough is enough. We're going to do. I mean, if you use common sense, people are going to stay healthy.
Right there is something that I get criticized about. All through this dissertation, did you hear me say anything against wearing masks? Did you hear me say anything against washing your hands or social distancing? No, I never said anything against it at all. But you summed it up the best by saying common sense. We know there's a pandemic. If the masks are going to be something that is going to help defray this when we're in close proximity with other people, I'm going to wear a mask. I don't want to risk my health or Deanne's health, especially Deanne's. And I'm going to wash my hands and I'm going to try to social distance. business. But as far as being told that we can't celebrate our Thanksgiving with our family, and some of these stupid people are saying, stand outside, eat your dinner outside. Yeah, you're going to do that in Minneapolis, Minnesota, when it's like 9 degrees below zero. You can't even sink your teeth into a frozen turkey leg.
Yeah, I can just picture people trying to do that stuff. But, you're totally right. I mean, if we just use we were taught as kids, or I was anyway, you wash your hands, several times a day. Wear your mask. I have claustrophobia, and I go into those...
Well, all I'm going to say, Donna, and you can see by the clock that I got to run, but I'm going to do everything I can to protect my health and my wife's health. It's up to the other people, you included, to protect yourselves. Do as you wish. But I'm going to protect Deanne as much as I can, but I am not going to adhere to a government shutdown of values, Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. I got to run. I really do.
Okay, you have a great day.
Thank you very much. Don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best in tires. All the tires, all the tread designs, for all the various kinds of driving. And believe me, we're probably going to have some of that angel dandruff hit us this next week. Be careful. They've got the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. They've got a lot of batteries for all your vehicles. Stop in and see James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I am really late. We'll be back in 7. Don't go away. Welcome back. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and service. Absolutely. And, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Okay, Rick Manning, if you're listening, get ready to whistle. Here's a good word for Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Way Services.
Oh, my goodness sakes, yes. Don't forget, you've got a lot of cleaning to do before the relatives and the family come over for Thanksgiving. You better get a dumpster, and they've got many dumpsters in various sizes at Western Waste Services. You give them a call and say, help, I need to clean out my basement, my attic, my garage, whatever. And they'll drop one off, you fill it up, and then you call them again, they'll come and get it. Hey, that's service. Absolutely. Getting rid of your garbage. They are always at your disposal. 734-6969, Western Waste Services. Want to also give a great big shout out this morning to some folks that are absolutely committed to helping you get back to being you. And I'm talking about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with my dear friend Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. I urge you to make an appointment. They know all the exercises, and they've got the only one of its kind, the hydrotherapy pool, right there to help you. Absolutely. 678-1191. That's the number, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Really good people. And underline those words, good people, because also I want to mention it the same with Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward, the manager, his family, and staff. They are really community committed to helping serve you and your families in a time of need. And that's, of course, with the passing of a loved one, always providing the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. And always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please call them 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morris and Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and he's probably still whistling, and that's, of course, the president of Americans for Limited Government, my friend, my dear friend, Rick Manning. Good morning.
Yes, it's always good to have a waste disposal company as an earwig in your head. It's a wonderful thing, and I'm glad that they have such a catchy jingle.
I love it.
It's always, my wife sits there and says, "What the heck are you doing?" So, some strange stares around the neighborhood.
Oh, thank you, Rick. I'm glad you added a little levity to an otherwise very serious and somber Monday. I just want to ask you this. Rick, I really came out in the first hour and I lambasted any political official that is going to try to infringe or invoke or demand that our holidays that are sacred to me, especially with Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc., are limited to maybe only 2 hours, are limited to maybe only 10 people, are limited to maybe standing outside. Tell that to the people in Minneapolis, St. Paul, eating the turkey that's been frozen for 3 hours. I'll tell you what, Rick, I'm sick of government intrusion in my life. I've had it.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's it seems like they don't shut down holidays, except they shut down Easter, 4th of July, and now they want to shut down. Now they want to shut down Thanksgiving and Christmas. And at some point, we have to just say we're doing what we're doing. Take your best shot. I don't know what's being talked about in Idaho. I do know that my wife and I actually had a pretty sharp disagreement about this last night. But the point of it is that it's at some point we have to learn to live with this virus.
Yes.
And what we know is that there is not a solution by hiding in your basement. It's not a solution. Now, there are those who say, we've got multiple vaccines now that are supposedly almost ready to go. Those vaccines have millions of doses that have already been created. So they are going to be widely distributed very rapidly, with probably the next couple months. And but you know what? What I'd say is do Thanksgiving. Okay, if we can't give thanks to God for the blessings we have, then what can we do?
There you go.
Now we don't need sanction from the government to do that. Remember, Thanksgiving isn't just a holiday where you watch football on TV and eat turkey until you fall asleep. I mean, Thanksgiving is a day which is devoted to giving thanks to God for the blessings that we have received in the previous year. And those blessings, 2020 has not been a great year, I think, by everybody's account. But the fact is we've all received blessings during that year, and it's important for us to be able to go back and think about the things that happened that were good and get us out of this mode of constantly being under assault, and think about the things that God is doing in your life and in the lives of people you know, and just take stock of that. And where you have to make adjustments, make adjustments. It's really an opportunity to do that. And as a family, it's an opportunity to do that as a family. And if we're going to deny the capacity for young people to learn from older people about what the blessings are, what the true meaning of Thanksgiving is, then we're doing a tremendous disservice to our children. So don't do it. Celebrate your Thanksgiving however you feel comfortable with. Every single person knows their own risk tolerance and knows their own vulnerabilities. And if you're in a vulnerable category, take appropriate precautions or just do it by Zoom or something. But if you feel comfortable and you're not not particularly at risk, there's absolutely no reason to shut down your Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. Rick, the election. I'm going to give you my take in less than 30 seconds, and I want you to give us yours. Quite frankly, I think that Donald Trump is doing everything that is legal. He's doing everything that's within constitutional values of making sure that every legal vote is counted. If there were some slip-ups, they should know the final vote take before the states certify. He's not doing anything out of line, and we have former President Obama basically ridiculing this man, and with the saying, paraphrasing, kind of get out of Dodge and make way for the new administration. I just wish these people would shut up and let the vote tallies speak for themselves after they've been verified. Would you agree or disagree?
I would say that this is the same President Obama who on January 5th of 2017, 15 days before the election, before the inauguration of President Trump, was in a meeting in the White House in the Oval Office, plotting how to stop the Trump administration and how to use the levers of power within the intelligence services, how to do that. President Obama has absolutely no legitimacy to talk about this, and in fact, every time he talks about it, reminds me of just what a bad guy he is in every single way. Here's the truth. The President of the United States has a right, any candidate has a right to make certain that the election was done fairly, and that every legal vote was counted properly, and every illegal vote is discounted and thrown out. Every candidate has that right. And in fact, every voter should demand that right for themselves, because we certainly want to make certain that whoever ends up being president on January 20th, 12:01 p.m., 2021, was legitimately elected. And until we can determine that, at that point, and there's a timeline that you have to get done with this process by. But until we determine that, President Obama is the one who's trying to break the actual process and allow the NBC poll, prediction guys to decide who's the president. And you know what? He doesn't get to do that. He was involved in this election. He was involved in trying to at a lot of levels in this election. And so he's an interested party. He needs to shut up and resume his role of going around and giving speeches for $1 million a speech, and shut up about our process.
Amen. Amen. We have a caller with a question or a comment. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Zeb. Good morning. I hope you guys are doing well. I just want to say Obama's got no business stepping in what he's doing. He made waves before. He's making waves now. And this is short, sweet, and truthful and bluntful. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.
I appreciate your comments, caller. Thank you very much. This president has never had, in my opinion, a fair shot at being the president of the United States, whether it was Russian collusion or a dossier that was phony, thanks Hillary, or whether it was any and all the impeachment jargon or the Mueller report. Never has he had a fair shake. And right now, by waiting and seeing what the final vote count is, at least that's some semblance of a fair shake.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I'm going to say something that may be a little. I agree with everything you just said. Okay, and you're not even touching on the half of it. I wasn't going to go down this step, but I will. Things like the Kennedy Center Awards, right? Always feature the president. You know what they haven't for the last 4 years? Featured the president. Why? Because they didn't like who was president.
Yep.
So we have the institutions of where the president usually is honored and given the proper respect, and those institutions have denied that to President Trump. And and you don't see that outside of D.C., but inside D.C. it makes my stomach sick. It actually irritates me more than virtually anything else. Is that from day one, these people have attempted to delegitimize this president and his ability to actually be seen and act like the president, be recognized as being the president. And that is at the heart of what they've been trying to do. And it's what the stealing of this election is a continuation of that, because even when President Trump wins the recounts, even when he wins because state legislators say, we're not going to certify fraudulent votes. Because the left is covering up the fraud and isn't telling people about the fraud, he will be viewed as an illegitimate president in his second term, because the people a large number of people won't realize the scale of the fraud that occurred and the level of fraud that occurred. So everything they do is about making this president not be able to be president. And I'm sick of it. It is dangerous. And quite honestly, there's not a lot we can do about it. So what we have to do is we have to ignore what they say. We have to get a vote that is, find out what the real vote is. And oh, by the way, if Idaho legislators on both the state and the federal level aren't screaming that only legal votes should count and that we need to get to the bottom of this fraud, then they're not doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
Because President Trump can't be the only voice out there. We need our elected leaders to be yelling from the rooftops, this is what we expect. And there's nobody who represents Idaho on the federal level or even on the state level who has any excuse for not doing that. And the reason I bring the state level up is because the states are the ones the state legislators are the ones who pick the electors. They're the ones who make that choice. And so while in Idaho there isn't a problem, in other state legislatures there is. And those state legislators in Idaho can make the point that we choose the electors who go to the Electoral College. And the Electoral College, by the way, is held at each state capital. It's not like they go to one place and, the Ivy League school or something. They vote in the state capital. But they're the ones who choose who gets to vote in those state capitals. And it is incumbent upon the Idaho state legislators to be reaching out to their colleagues around the country in states that are disputed and saying, stand firm. People of Idaho expect you to make certain this election was fairly held. And because the state legislators in those states are getting pounded on both sides, but they're getting, but the media is so overwhelmingly against what we're a fair and accurate count that the temptation is just to go along to get along. Their fellow state legislators from around the country need to be telling them that no, you need to stand up. You need to do your job. And your job is, if the election can't be fairly certified, if it isn't an honest election, if you're proven that there was fraud in your state that makes it so the election is in doubt, at the very least you have to say, we are not going to send electors. Because you don't know which slate of electors to send. That
Absolutely
is the state legislator's job. That's constitutional. And anybody who wants to make that the job of the NBC decision desk or the Fox News decision desk is simply just, they're pulling the wool over the eyes of the American people, and we can't allow it to occur.
Absolutely. Very well stated. I've got time for one more subject I really want you to address this morning, and that's, of course, what took place this past weekend in D.C. with a Trump rally. I watched a lot of it on C-SPAN, and then after tens of thousands of people, very, very patriotic, flag-waving, and national anthem, Pledge of Allegiance, and then when the darkness started to ensue, that's when the Black Lives Matter and the Antifa came out, and violence ensued around the city. And never once, when the Associated Press covered this, did they ever once in their stories, and I've got them right here in front of me, mention that the riots and the beatings and the fireworks and everything else aimed at the Trump ralliers was caused by Black Lives Matter and Antifa. Never once. Please respond.
No, you're right. They didn't, and it's part of the overall cover-up. They said violence erupts at MAGA rally, and it makes it sound like the people at the MAGA rally were the violent ones.
Yep.
No, they were the victims of violence. And the media's decision to allow for violence to occur against people who they don't agree with is perhaps the biggest danger that we have, because ultimately they are empowering those who commit the violence to not face any repercussions. They're empowering them to still get money from the corporations that are sending them money out of some tribute to their personal guilt, rather than saying, wait a second, we can't be funding violence. So the media doing that and not having a shred of honesty is despicable. But quite honestly, anybody who's been paying attention for the last 4 years can't be surprised.
Absolutely. We have a call with a question or a comment, and I'm down to the last couple of minutes. Caller, quickly, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. Hey, just last week I went all over down to Colorado, down to southern Utah, over to Wyoming, and down I-80. And anyway, during all my travels, I've seen a whole lot of Trump support. Flags, banners, signs, Trump 2020. And I traveled over 3,000 miles in a week's time, and I seen all that. Everywhere I worked, I seen all that. Very few times did I ever see anything for Biden and Harris. I know it's the population in the bigger cities that are making the decisions, but I just want to let people know that you're not alone if you're supporting Trump.
Absolutely.
By no means are you alone.
I appreciate your call. Thank you.
That's why these rallies around the country matter. And if there isn't one in your area, you need to start one. Because your state legislators, once again, I need to make this clear, your state legislators, your members of Congress need to hear that the people back home care about this. This isn't business as usual. We had a fraudulently impacted election, and you expect your legislators to take action. So if there's not a rally, start reaching out to people about getting one done, whether it be a car rally, boat rally, or in-person rally. And secondly, contact your state legislators now and tell them you expect them to get off the dime and start working on this, and let their fellow state legislators around the country know that the people of Idaho expect them to do their job, because they otherwise are invalidating the people of Idaho's vote.
Absolutely. So well stated. Caller, quickly. I've only got 2 minutes. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Well, the Zeb Bell program has the Speaker of the House of the state of Idaho on here all the time. He's got influence over him, and then we can always call in. And so, you know what I'd like to see is our U.S. Senate, Crapo and Risch, and our U.S. House, I can't even think of their name now. But we need to have them come out and talk to us about what we're going to do. We need to have them all together at some sort of a rally, and then we need to talk to them about if we don't win those Senate seats in Georgia, what we're going to do to stop the insanity. Because in Idaho, Crapo, Risch, the others, they just get reelected all the time, and we just trust here, and we just know their names, and nobody ever runs against them. I'll hang up.
Respond quickly, Rick, if you would.
Call them up, call your federal legislators up, and tell them you expect them to be vocal in support of President Trump, in support of continuing the recount and getting the fraud out of this election. Tell them you expect nothing less. If you don't hear them speaking up and defending President Trump, they won't be hearing from you at the ballot box in terms of voting for them. Make it that clear. This is a litmus test. If you don't have the guts to do this, you don't have the guts to be in the U.S. Senate, you don't have the guts to be in the U.S. Congress.
Amen. President of Americans for Limited Government, and I call him and consider him a very, very good friend. Rick Manning, God bless you, man. I'll look forward to next Monday. Thank you so much. There he is, Rick Manning, back in Washington, D.C., and I'm blessed to have him on as part of our program on a weekly basis. And what he said is the truth. We got to stand up. We got to fight back. And we have to tell the government a simple two-letter word that they have a hard time comprehending. No. No. Don't forget our dear friends at Denny's Restaurant. Absolutely, at 611 North Overland in Burley, and at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Oh, all the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and desserts. And I know they've started up those turkey dinners, and they've got all those delicious pies. Oh, my goodness. Great, great food, fantastic menu choices, and, of course, super people, great people serving you at America's Diner. I urge you to stop in and see them today. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. It is great. Want to remind you, too, that your home is the one place where everything should be perfect, including your air. Ramsey Heating and Electric helps you achieve the perfect air you deserve with reliable, groundbreaking, award-winning Lennox products. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric. You get a hold of them and you can see how about getting a Lennox home comfort system for your home. Absolutely. Call them at 678-0459 or visit ramseysonline.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Another reminder about happy Thanksgiving wishes from Mountain Transmissions, 1146 East Main in Burley, 678-9110. Oh, he wants to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. And if you put the car in reverse and it goes forward, you've got tranny problems. You better get a hold of them today. Mountain Transmissions, 678-9110. And our dear friends up in Oakley, Clark's for Shopping at 100 East Main Street in Oakley. Oh, my goodness. They've been in operation since 1924. Oh, and they've got that famous Clark's breakfast sausage. Great Grandma Clark's recipe is phenomenal. You got to try it. Stop up today and say hello to our friends, Clark's for Shopping in Oakley. And they wish you and yours a very, excuse me, as I'm choking here all of a sudden, happy Thanksgiving. Absolutely. Let me see where we at here. We're going to go to our dear friend just a moment back in Colorado, Frosty Woldridge, but before we do, I want to remind everybody about Let's Ride. Oh, get your motor running on a new snowmobile from Let's Ride. You better believe it. Head for the hills. There's going to be a lot of angel dandruff up there before too long. And don't forget 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, the location for Let's Ride. They're open Monday through Friday 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 2. All your snowmobiles, all your accessories, and they've got a phenomenal service department to keep you running too. Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it's true, this is where the fun is sold. Don't forget too, over in that same area, when you think about life insurance, think about Cameron and Siemens for the best of all your insurance coverages for you, your family, and your business. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. Yep, all there with Todd and the crew serving you, and they are dedicated and devoted. Please get a hold of them today. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The number to call, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Whew! Right now, let's go to the phone line and talk to a really, really good friend that absolutely knows what's happening, knows what might happen with a new administration that is absolutely not going to be friendly towards our borders and also our Constitution. Good morning, Frosty Woldridge. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb, and good morning to everyone out there in Radio Land. It's always a pleasure to be with you on Mondays. I look forward to our conversations.
Frosty, I got to tell you that it goes without saying that you and I share the same philosophy on about 98.3 of all the items that we discuss. I am absolutely scared, and I mean this, about the complexion of America, the changing of America underneath a Biden-Harris administration with a total relaxing of our borders, total relaxing of all incoming illegal aliens, total relaxing of protecting we the people, the citizens that pay the bills. I'm worried.
Well, you need to be worried, Zeb, and I think every person listening to this broadcast needs to be very concerned and actually very worried about our country and about every state and about every city. And today, this was published in newswithviews.com, and I would encourage you to check this article out. The reason I come on this program, and also many other programs across the country, is essentially I'm your canary in the gold mine, if you will, or the coal mine. And what I will essentially warn you about is what's killing the citizens of our country as we continue down this path. And this latest column is called Multiculturalizing America into a Land of Strangers. what the Joe Biden administration is going to do, and he's promised it, if you've looked at his platform, is absolutely horrendous. He's going to push to legalize upwards of 25 million illegal aliens. He's going to push to legalize somewhere between 800,000 and 1.2 million DACA recipients. He's promised to expand the Muslim and diversity visas to greater numbers. And if anybody understands what's going on in Europe right now, and even in Canada, in the big cities, whether it's Vancouver that's being overrun by its immigrants, whether it's Ottawa or Toronto or Montreal, which I've traveled through all of those cities and watched them being deformed. I'm not talking about transformed for the better. I'm talking about deformed into anything other than Canadian. And he also, this is Biden again, promised to expand the numerous work visas into the hundreds of thousands. And so my question looms large. With the current crisis of internal terrorists such as BLM and Antifa, the Boogaloo, and others, how will America hold itself together in the coming years? How will it survive so many cultural, linguistic, ethnic, religious, and world views which actually divide us? And of course, I'm going to answer this for you because I've traveled all over Europe to see what they've done to themselves. And the answer is, we won't survive it. We are becoming a nation of strangers by the people we elected to serve us, but instead, they are serving the rest of the world. Am I making any sense here, Zeb?
Well, there's no absolute argument about it. I mean, my goodness, I'll give you an example. I'll give you a direct example as to what you're talking about. Just this last week, when they were talking about the COVID vaccine, right away, the Biden-Harris administration, they were saying, well, they wanted to give it to foreign countries first, especially Joe's pet country, and that's China, or at least take the bulk of the vaccine over there. Right there, they're saying to the American citizen, well, you come in second place. We'll take care of all these others first.
Well, that's Joe Biden. Again, the man has never forwarded a bill that has benefited the American people in 47 years in Congress, and as the vice president, mostly just a lot of hot air. In fact, virtually all hot air came from him. And when you really look at what he has done and some of the behaviors that he has manifested through all of these years, whether it's his racist past, whether it's his sexual fondling of little girls, whether it's his Hunter Biden Ukraine giving his son a $50,000 a month job when this guy didn't know an oil well from an erector set, and also is a drug addict and a pretty messed up kind of guy. That's the Joe Biden that's going into the White House here in the coming months. And what I'm sharing with you is what the results are going to be, because what really pushed this latest column that I wrote is that my wife and I went to Costco in Denver just last week. We encountered immigrants from Pakistan and India and Mexico and China and Vietnam and Somalia, and they spoke all these different languages. They had no commonality with regular American citizens, and we felt zero commonality with them. In fact, we felt like strangers in our own communities, our own community here in Denver. I can tell you right now, all the different little communities here in Denver, which has over 2.5 million people, Aurora has become literally a Middle Eastern enclave. I mean, you're seeing burqas, and you're seeing women that have their faces completely hidden because they're forced to wear burqas because of their husbands and the Islamic religion, and the fact that women are literally have no rights under any Islamic roof. And even when they come over here, the culture is so strong, it doesn't allow them to be individuals. They're non-beings in these burqa outfits. And so I have to ask you, do we want that in our country? Because it's coming. And now as a matter of fact, Joe Biden promised to open up those 7 countries to Islamic immigration back into our country that were cut off by Donald Trump. Does anybody out there want that for our country? Do you want such a barbaric religion, which is not only a religion, it's an economic, political religion that has one aspect to it. The prime directive is to conquest and overtake any other country. And so that's what we're going to get from Joe Biden. I make it very clear in this latest article that's now posted across the country.
All right, I want to jump in here, and I want you to comment specifically in your article, which was absolutely fantastic, by the way. When you come on this program, you and I are friends. Yes, we can arbitrate about certain circumstances, but as I said, all in all, we're on the same page. If I would have been you, as you were on the Ross Kaminsky show back in Denver, I probably would have crawled through the phone line and tried to strangle that guy.
Here is the arrogance of a man like Ross Kaminsky. I didn't have to go through the phone line to strangle him. I sat in the room with him right there. I was right there in the radio room of the show. It was 850 KOA here in Denver, and I had the graphs, and I showed him the graphs. And I mentioned that we just, because of the 65 Immigration Reform Act, we added 100 million immigrants to our country from 150 different countries in the last 55 years. And he said, so what?
Yeah.
And then I said, well, beyond the sheer numbers that will be environmentally devastating to our civilization, we face more fragmentation and fracturing than ever before in the history of the United States. We've got raging racism more than ever, with the responses now from BLM and Antifa, along with the Mexican Mafia, the MS-13 gangs invading virtually all of our big cities and distributing all the drugs. And we've got flash mobs and bashing people over the back of the head in Philadelphia and Chicago, Denver, and Minneapolis. And we've got Somalian drug gangs in Wisconsin and Minnesota right now. And now we have Muslim honor killings and female genital mutilation in America. And he said to me, and I'm quoting, "You always face crime and differences no matter where you are in the world," unquote. We never had any of this kind of crime and this kind of activity in our country previous to 1965.
Yeah, but
I mean, that's the arrogance of some of these people. And I sit here and I read, in fact, this last week in the Denver Post came out with Thornton is crying because it doesn't have any water, but it wants to grow from the 6th largest city in Colorado. It wants to grow another 50 to 100,000 people when it doesn't have the water. And so John Aguilera, the guy who interviewed the city council and the mayor, he was giving examples of how we're going to solve the problem. Well, at some point, there's no way to solve the problem as far as water, because we're a semi-arid region here in Colorado, and at some point, there's no way to literally feed another 30 million people that are projected to be added to Colorado by the end of the century. And so you have to wonder, Zeb, what are our leaders thinking as they flood the country with another 100 million more immigrants from all over the world? I for one, do not understand what they're thinking and why they're doing it to future American citizens.
Yeah, when Kaminsky made the statement, well, we can handle another 100 million immigrants and more, I probably would have looked him right in the eye and said, who's going to pay the bill, Kaminsky? Are you going to dole out the money out of your taxes? Are you going to dole the money out of your wages that you earn at this nickel and dime radio program? Who's going to foot the bill? The American taxpayer. They're paying for all these luxuries. I don't want to spend the money.
Well, when you're talking to somebody that's half your age and they don't understand the ways of the world, they have never been to China, they've never been to Bangladesh, they've never been to India, they've never been to Mexico City, they've never been to Rio de Janeiro, they haven't been to Beijing. Well, I have, and I've seen what's coming. And so that kind of arrogance is born from sheer stupidity. And I sat there, and he owned the radio show, and he absolutely he had all the answers. And so when you have that kind of a mindset, no amount of facts, no graphs, no understanding of what's really underlying such arrogance, such stupidity can sway him. And when I walked out of the studio, I just shook my head. I said, oh, my God, this is what goes on with CNN.
Yeah.
This is what goes on with 60 Minutes.
Yep.
This is the kind of media that goes on with Jake Tapper, Meet the Press, Face the Nation. None of these high-powered networks are dealing with the facts and dealing with what's coming. And so the rest of us, each one of us, whether you live in Idaho or you live in Washington or you live in Maine, all of us, Georgia, Texas, we are being flooded by the rest of the world. And what no one understands is the reason the rest of the world can't wait to get here to America or Canada or Europe is because we built a successful society. They didn't.
Yeah.
And when they bring enough numbers of their people, their culture, their intellectual lack of intellectual abilities into our country, we are going to be continued to degrade and devolve our society until we simply match up with all the ones that they fled. And folks, I can tell you, I've been to those places. We're not looking at a future for the United States of America.
Not at all.
On this path.
Not at all. Frosty, I've only got a couple of minutes left. I'm going to take one call here with a question or a comment, and then I've got to hurry along. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Quickly.
Well, yes. I was hoping that people would show up and exercise their free will, and they did, 74 million plus. And so that happened. And then you say to yourself, well, what do we got to do to save our country? Because if we don't reelect Trump in some sort of a miracle, then we've got to continue to be diligent as citizens. And even in Idaho, for instance, Simpson, Fulcher, Crapo, and Risch, who are very middle of the road. They never say anything. They never stand up and do anything that gets them any notice. And you say to yourself, in today's world, we have got to stand our ground for what is right. And in 2 years, if we lose the Senate, 2 years could be, I don't know. And then if we have to wait 4 years to get reelect, you would say to yourself, well, will there be 80 million people come out and vote for the Republican? Because we showed up, you pray that God will help, and then you don't understand why maybe it didn't happen. I'll hang up.
All right, respond to the caller quickly, Frosty, if you would.
Well, his frustration is my frustration. There was a question on some show. I forget what it was. I think it was Fox, and no, it was PBS or NPR, and I forget which lady it was who asked, well, did they vote for Biden because of an aversion for Trump? And the guy says, well, they all just voted for Biden because they're so excited about Biden. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't get excited about a man who's he's on the doorstep of 80. He's frail. He's old. He's going to collapse. He's going to be exhausted. He's suffering from onset dementia. He can't finish a sentence. He's a president with no clothes. He's running forward without the ability to govern. And the reality is he's probably going to pass away while in office, or he will be deemed incompetent by the 25th Amendment. And this lady named Kamala Harris, who has got this unbelievably checker past, is going to be the next president of the United States. I mean, you can bet on it because Biden's not going to last.
Yeah.
And so we're in more trouble than we realize because that lady, I mean, she is not an all-American like the rest of us, and she's going to take over the reins of this country. So God help us is all I can say.
Absolutely. Caller, real fast. Don't make a long dissertation, please. I'm almost out of time. Go ahead, please.
I won't. Las Vegas is another city that's going down. If any of you have been down there and seen, I think it's the Glen Canyon Dam, they're going to be dry here for long. Thanks.
I appreciate your call and your short comment. Frosty, respond, please.
That's correct. We got 100 million people going to be added to this country in a blink of time. Our water, our energy, and our resources are declining at a precipitous rate. It's just pure math. You can't keep overwhelming the natural resources such as water and energy and the resources themselves if you expect to have this country survive. And that's exactly what's happening with that dam, because I've been down to Las Vegas in the last year, in fact this summer, and my gosh, there isn't enough water and there's not enough rain to fill the aquifers and the dams. We are facing massive water shortages in this country, California being the first, Arizona, and then Nevada, and it goes down to Florida. So keep adding the numbers. We're going to just collapse systems so fast that we're not going to have a viable society. That's exactly correct.
Frosty, listen, here's what I want you to do, and I'd be amiss if I didn't ask you to respond to this. Please watch your watch and only give me 2 minutes maximum. Talk about the superintendent of schools in Eagle County, Colorado, really imploring for a bilingual country. This is asinine.
That's exactly right, and I would say this to everyone listening to this program. The great philosopher, his name was, I think, Immanuel Kant, K-A-N-T. He said, the two great dividers are religion and language, unquote. If we continue to make the United States of America a bilingual or trilingual or quadrilingual country, it means everybody will be thinking on the different pages, and there's no way that we'll ever get on the same page. And so we will simply continue to separate into different societies here in America. And that's what's coming, and that's what's happening. It's why it's so important and so imperative that English become the only language that is officially recognized in the United States of America if we hope to survive even to the year 2050.
Absolutely. My dear friend, Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado, I look forward to Mondays. Take care, my dear friend. We'll talk to you next week.
And thank you, Zeb.
Thank you. Just have a lot of respect for that man and his ability. Thank you, Frosty Woolridge. By the way, your home is the one place where everything should be perfect, including your air. Ramsey Heating and Electric helps you achieve the perfect air you deserve with reliable, groundbreaking, award-winning Lennox products. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric and see how you can get a Lennox home comfort system that'll help improve your health. Call them today at 678-0459 or visit RamseysOnline.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Right now it's time for the weather. And the weather is brought to us by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. I again bit my tongue. May I please say that all over again? Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, the professionals providing accounting services to the Minicash area for well over 50 years. They are the best at what they do: tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, and the list goes on and on. Believe me, it's true. They are the professionals serving you. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Drying out for the next couple of days, then more rain showers. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting partly to mostly cloudy skies for today. A slight breeze out of the south. High right around 54. Tonight, clouds are going to stick around with a low of 31. Tomorrow, partly sunny skies, still a little bit breezy, high of 57. By Tuesday night, more clouds with a low of 39. Slight chance of rain showers for Wednesday, high of 50. Thursday, back to partly sunny skies and 46. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. And the weather this hour brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And like I said, the best of accounting services to you, your family, and your business. They are the best, and they have offices at 1710 Overland in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Get a hold of them today. Let them help you. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Wow. Let me see. Next half hour at 10:06, we're going to be talking to the former editor and publisher of the Times News in Twin Falls, Steve Hartgen, and he is a retired 5-term Republican member of the Idaho House of Representatives. Every week, Steve has a very interesting op-ed piece, and he's a staunch conservative like I am, and I can relate to a lot of what he says. We're going to have him on. We're going to be talking about various and sundry things, including the election, including a movement where Oregon, certain parts of eastern Oregon, would like to move over under the umbrella of the state of Idaho, and talk about a fractured culture. We got a whole bunch of things we're going to try to cram in to about an 18-minute interview. And then, of course, later on this morning at 10:32, Dog Days with Deb Hines. And then at 10:46, we're going to have a gentleman by the name of Dennis Hakes on the program talking about a community prayer rally that's going to be held this coming Saturday, November 21st at the Freedom Park next to the Burley Airport and Little League Field. And bring your American flags. In God we trust. Absolutely a great rally coming up this next Saturday. Want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Patterson's Electronics. Oh, my. They've got everything over there. When it comes to electronics needs, you don't have to run here, run there, run over the country trying to find what you need, because they've got absolutely the best right there at Patterson's. I mean, they've got everything. They've got all the Sony CDRs now, and they've got Sony TVs, 43-inch, that were $5.99, now only $4.49. You better check out the great buys at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. And don't forget, too, they've got a lot of the dehydrated food in stock, and you can get case lots right now on sale for as long as it lasts. Let me tell you, it's going to be a big, big deal for their store. Stop in and see Curtis and Lorena at 421 East Main in Burley, Patterson's Electronics. And they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. The number is 678-6997. Well, we're going to get ready to send this back over to Sean at our main studio and then come back after the news. And once again, I just want to mention this because I think it's such an outstanding event that's going to be put on this coming Saturday. The Community Prayer Rally. I talked to this man, Dennis Hakes, and boy, I mean, here's a guy that just, when you talk to him, you feel the vibrancy in his voice, that he loves this country and he wants everybody to be at this rally coming up at Freedom Park this next Saturday. And we're going to talk to him, like I said, at about 10:45 this morning right here on Zeb at the Ranch. We're going to send it over to the main studios right now, let the big boys come in with the news and destroy everything we've all put together. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, with that music, we're back in the saddle for another hour right here on Zeb at the Ranch on this Monday, November 16th. And, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and, of course, the best in service. Let's not forget, too, our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. We're going to go with our guest momentarily, but stand by. I also want to urge you to remember about a big, big sale that's going on right now at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. It's the big pre-Black Friday sale. No money down, no interest, up to 48 months on approved credit. Oh, my. You better get in and check out the great low prices on a selection of recliners that'll knock your boots off. And, of course, all the sectionals and the bedroom sets, the mattresses, everything is at a low, low price for you to get in and enjoy the beautification and the comfortization of your home. Please stop in and see Jeff and the crew today at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Really, really good, folks. serving you. Another quick reminder that, of course, your home is the one place where everything should be perfect, including your air. Ramsey Heating and Electric helps you achieve the perfect air you deserve with reliable, groundbreaking, award-winning Lennox products. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today and find out about a Lennox home comfort system for your home. Call them at 678-0459 or visit Ramsey'sOnline.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Ladies and gentlemen, I've had this gentleman on my program a couple of times in the past, and I look forward to having him on. He is a former editor and publisher of the Times News and also a retired 5-term Republican member of the House of Representatives. And I say good morning to Steve Hartkin. Good morning, Steve. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Zeb. It's nice to talk with you again.
Steve, it goes without saying that I follow your op-eds every Sunday in the newspaper, and I think you and I saddle the same horse. We've got the same opinion on almost everything. And before I get too deep in the grass here this morning, I'd like to ask you about the election and what's happened in the last 2 weeks hence, and get your opinion as to the Trump re-election campaign that seems like it fizzled out, but now asking for a recount. What are your thoughts?
Well, the problem is that, there was some last-minute shifting of votes in a number of key states, which has given an apparent victory to Mr. Biden. But those are being contested, particularly in Pennsylvania and a couple other states. Whether that's enough to turn it around in a court remains to be seen. I think people who voted for Trump, and there were about 75 million who did, they're kind of watching that carefully, and so are the Biden folks. They had a couple of million more votes, and they're certainly looking for confirmation of that. But I think Trump has a pretty good case in Pennsylvania, particularly, where they appear to have set aside the Constitution and enacted their own election standards. And I think the court will probably reverse that. Whether that's enough, I think, is unknown at this point.
Steve, I'm 73 years old, and I've never, ever in my lifetime seen our country, the United States, as divided as it is politically and emotionally. And quite frankly, I think the left has done everything they can to pull the rug out from underneath everybody. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with you that this nation is certainly divided. Statistics show that, and anecdotal information and news reports. We're becoming a bi-coastal Democratic city on the two coasts and the bigger cities, and then the rest of the nation is kind of a heartland and votes mostly Republican. So I think that there are underlying principles at work here. One is a difference of values, and that's really what interests me as a writer and historian, is that we're seeing the nation kind of fragment along the lines of cultural values, with the rural areas being more concerned with the traditional values, and the other side being more concerned with kind of do your own thing. I'm not sure that we'll see a breakup in a sense like the Civil War. I don't know if that's a realistic possibility, but I think we're certainly divided culturally, and we're getting more so.
Yeah, but when you talk about a fractured culture, Steve, and it is, I'm just going to state my looking at this and tell me if you think I'm wrong. When you compare like Sacramento, San Francisco, L.A., Chicago, New York, and then you look at the flyover states with the family values, go to church on Sunday, trying to grow food to feed the nation, is that fractured culture ever going to be able to heal?
Well, it's healed before. It's not a new phenomenon, Zeb. It's something that's been with us for at least 150 years in one way or another. If you go back to the late 1900s, at the time Idaho was settled in this part of the state, there were wide differences of opinion about rural versus urban America and what was important in the two different areas. So it's not a new phenomenon, but it is what is different is the intensity of it and the ability of people to participate in it through some of the modern techniques like Facebook and so forth, where people come on and pretty much say what they want, and the distortion that's occurred as a result of that. That's new.
When you look at what happened this last Saturday, Steve, as a former editor and publisher of the Times News and a journalist, and you see the way that the stories have been absolutely slanted against the Trump or the Trump rally and the people that were out there carrying flags, singing our national anthem, etc., and then in the evening hours were attacked by Antifa and Black Lives Matter, the Associated Press never made one single mention about the attacks and who they were perpetrated by. Is our society covering up the bad people in our society to the point where we'll never have any compensation again as far as a free journalistic press?
I don't think so. I think long term we'll see the journalistic process sort of right itself and go back to a more neutral a perspective of trying to be at least reasonably objective. I think these efforts that you see on the part of the national television and so forth, they're in some ways reflective only of the one side. But, you know, a lot of people get their news today from other kinds of sources. The Internet, Facebook, social media, all kinds of smaller, noticeable publications. There are some very good weekly newspapers out there, and some good daily newspapers, too. I think particularly the Wall Street Journal that I like to look at from time to time. I think it's a trend that, you know, maybe is going to swing back. It would certainly be nice if it did it sooner rather than later. But, you know, we're in the midst of the forest here now, but there is a clearings, I think, on the other side.
You just mentioned a topic that I wanted to ask you about, and I, for one, am really concerned about big tech and the control that they have over the millions in this country. What about big tech and their control in the future? If they can control the populace through their technocracy and technology, the outlook doesn't look good for the future.
Well, but if you look at the results returned from the national election, it shows that people listened to that, but they didn't really vote that way. The whole, 2,800 of the 3,100 counties in the nation voted for Trump. So even though those places were bombarded with information from these sources, most people sort of set that aside, particularly as you got close to the election. I would guess within a week or so prior to the election, almost everybody knew how they were going to vote or had already voted. Given the pandemic, there were a lot of early votes this time. So I'm not sure that we are going to see what I would say a disruption completely and a control by social media. But I think it's something, certainly when you're on social media, you have to be aware of the risks of it and also be aware that it's not a complete picture.
Steve, one of the things I think, and this is purely my own opinion, and it kind of coincides with the op-ed you had a couple of weeks ago, American Map of Election Returns is still mostly red. I honestly think that even in defeat, if he is eventually defeated and the states are certified as going for Biden, I think that Trump has been an eye-opener for politics and policies all across this country for the future. Would you agree?
I certainly would. In fact, I don't think he's a one-term wonder in any way. He's kind of a populist, a prairie populist coming out of a big city. It's really kind of amazing that people didn't really think of him as, one of them at first when he came down the escalator. Here's this New York State real estate mogul coming down the escalator and saying how he's going to represent folks. But it turned out he did. He kept going around and talking to people and listening to folks and holding these humongous rallies, and people would show up and they liked what he had to say. And I think we'll see either another individual like that, or if he stays active, I think that would be an interesting result as well. My guess is he'll stay active in one way or another.
We have a caller with a comment or a question. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air, please.
Yeah, I had a family member from Salt Lake send me an email with YouTube from the Washington, D.C., from the Black Lives Matter and Antifa the other night. And every time I would click onto that it was there for about 2 seconds, and then they would delete it. And I'd go to the next one and be there about 2 seconds, and then they would delete it. So it wouldn't let me see all this stuff that Antifa and Black Lives Matter was doing to these people for Trump. Anyway,
caller, I appreciate your call. And Steve, you want to refer back to the caller, please?
Well, I think he's right that there was some intentional deleting of the coverage, but we know that's happening. That's happening in a lot of national media, and that's what's turned individuals like our caller to look for other sources of information. He said he got it off YouTube, which to me is a good indicator. You don't get that off MSNBC anymore. You have to go to YouTube or Fox or something like that in order to find it. And there's a new one out there called Parler, which is coming on very strong as people have had some concerns about the direction that Fox is going. So I think he's a good example, our caller is, of how we're getting more information today.
You know, Steve, we're just days away from Thanksgiving, and the left is using every excuse they can for more of a control factor. And we saw last week Governor Cuomo of New York and Governor Newsom of California come out with edicts about cutting back on Thanksgiving, eat outside, only honor 2 hours with your family, only 10 to a household, etc. This has gone beyond the pale, and I think it's time for Americans to stand up on their hind legs and tell government to back off. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, I think that the coronavirus situation is more serious than some people think. But that doesn't mean we should completely shut down our lives, as you say, and completely, disregard our human needs to be with each other, to be with our families, to enjoy a festive occasion that we've been doing for years. I think we just have to exercise some caution. I'm not sure that I would draw the line. You know, maybe you could eat outside in California for Thanksgiving, but I'm not sure I want to do that in New York. You know, you're likely to have a snowstorm on top of you eating out on the patio in New York at Thanksgiving. But I think you're right. I think we need to push back here, and that's what people are saying is, I don't mind wearing a mask, but I want it to be voluntary. I want me to make the decision. I don't want to be told I have to do it. I want to be able to make that decision as a free American.
Absolutely. In the time remaining, and over at the studio, Sean, we've got a little feedback. If you would please ride the gain on that. I want you to talk about an op-ed that you had in this Sunday's paper about maybe some of the eastern Oregon counties wanting to join the umbrella of the state of Idaho. Explain what that op-ed was all about.
Well, there was a ballot measure, an advisory ballot measure in four counties in Oregon during the election. It didn't have any binding authority. It just said, would your county commissioners talk about this issue? And two of the counties that passed, the one in LeGrand, which is Union County, and then another county further over north of Bend, and a third county, Wallowa, which was right on the Idaho border. It came very close to passing. And the people who are behind that are going to put it back on the ballot in the spring, in the May primary, in about 11 or 12 other counties over there, and see what kind of response they get. And as I say in my column, this is a good indicator of the differences that have appeared in the polarization of America, where people who live in smaller communities, like Union County, are saying to themselves, you know, why are we voting for and spending time and money in a democratic environment that's controlled by somebody else, particularly the eastern counties of the western counties of the state of Oregon, which are mostly Democratic. So I think you're seeing a wellspring here of response to what's been happening in America the last decade or so. And actually it goes back further than that. But that's at least, I think, the immediate response. Another idea that I heard on the column was that the counties, rather than join Idaho, should create their own state, and that would give us two more senators that are Republican and conservative in nature. So that, I think, has some appeal as well. But the discussions, it's just good to get the discussion underway, and it's nice to see that, at least the people in those counties are thinking with their heads rather than elsewhere,
Steve, as a former journalist and also a former House of Representatives leader in the state of Idaho, have we lost in this country, and I know this is kind of a far-reaching question, but have we as the people of the United States, have we lost respect for our rural roots and rural America, where the food come from and where the people are that really put forth the effort? Have we lost respect for rural America?
I think that's true. In fact, that's actually probably one of the most noticeable aspects of this polarization is that urban people just simply don't know very much about rural America, and they've never participated in it. They've never done that kind of work, and they grow up in cities. I was amazed in my column to see a survey that showed that a third of American young people, 1 in 3, had never seen a cow. Think about that for a second, okay? 1 in 3 young people up to the age of 25 had never even seen a cow. Just think about what that means in terms of our politics and our social structure, when you have a third of young people who can't even identify what we would consider to be a common animal. It's just amazing to me that we've changed. Now, some of that's natural. America has become more urban, and some of that is just going to happen on its own. But it's amazing to me that polarization has steeped that far into American life. If you talk to people who live in cities and who spend all of their time in cities, and you say, what do you like about living here? And they talk about, the joys of the entertainment world and so forth and all that stuff. But then if you talk to people who live in communities like ours, they really love the communities that we have, and they want to see them maintained. And they're not about to give them up easily. We're not all going to become Los Angeles.
Steve, I would say this in kind of a closing comment I want you to respond to, but I've said this on my program numerous times, that a country like America that turns away agriculture and eventually can't feed itself is going to be subservient to other countries, and that's where we turn into a third world country. Would you agree?
Well, I think I would go back and use the quote that I've used from time to time in my column from William Jennings Bryan, who was the populist leader in the early 1900s, and he said that if you lose all of our cities, if they were all to collapse, and you kept the farmland, the cities would grow back. But if you destroyed the farmland, grass would grow in the streets of every city in America. The land is dependent, the people of the country are dependent on its produce and on its productive power of our landscape. And if we don't recognize that and continue to recognize that, yes, we are in for a world of hurt.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, the former editor and publisher of the Times News and, of course, a retired 5-term Republican member of the Idaho House of Representatives, Steve Hartkin. Steve, it's always a pleasure to have you on the air, and to you and your wife, Linda, I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Ted. It's nice of you to call anytime.
Thank you, sir. Very, very interesting individual that I've enjoyed having on the program, like I said, numerous times, Steve Hartkin, and he knows the journalistic values, being a former newspaper man, and also all the political venues as a 5-term Republican member of the Idaho House, and I appreciate him. Steve Hartkin, thank you very much. Let's see, what else have I got to tell you about here? Oh, yes, I want to remind you that more businesses are saying to you and yours, Happy Thanksgiving, including Rain for Rent at 134 South 600 West Highway 27 in Paul. Number to call, 438-5065. Don't forget, they sell Reinke Pivot Sales and Service, and, of course, they are absolutely the best when it comes to your irrigation needs. Industrial services include pumps with a capacity of 68,000 GPM, them, and they've got the 21,000-gallon tanks. Holy smokes, you better get a hold of them today. Rain for Rent in Paul, 438-5065. Wishing you a very happy Thanksgiving. And our old, emphasis on the word old buddy Doug at Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Don't forget, remember the true meaning of this season, Thanksgiving and family, absolutely. And he also wants you to remember the senior centers. Those folks need our help. Have a very happy Thanksgiving. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair in Heyburn. And thank you very much for wishing everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. Coming up in just a matter of minutes, we're going to have Deb Hines on the air. And she, with the Minidoka Animal Control, along with the Wagon Tails Rescue folks, going to be talking about what's going on over with our canine friends. And then at 10:45 this morning, we're going to be talking to a gentleman by the name of Dennis Hakes. And he's got an event coming up, and I could tell by the tone of his voice this morning when I called him that he's absolutely committed to this community prayer rally that's going to be at Freedom Park this next Saturday, and it's going to start at 2 p.m., and God bless America. Absolutely bring your American flags. We're going to have him on the air at about 10:46 this morning. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Sean. He's got some information for us at the bottom of the hour. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, my. Right now, we're going to scoot over the river and through the snow and the desert and everything and talk to a wonderful lady at Minidoka Animal Control. Hello, Deb Hines. How are you?
I'm good, Mr. Bell. How are you?
Well, I'm good, except we've got a little problem here in the studio. Festus got loose and has been terrorizing me for the last half hour. We finally got him captured. Do you have that problem over there?
Let's see. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 dogs, 5 dogs in the office with me right now.
Oh, my.
Trying to get them vaccinated.
Okay, now...
One of my new little guys that I want to feature today, her name is Pretzel.
Okay.
And she is a terrier mix. I'm guessing she's about 2 years old. She's totally house-trained. And she gets along with everybody. Big dogs, little dogs, it matters not. She loves them all.
What kind of a history does she has, Deb?
I'm here playing with all of them.
What kind of a history does Pretzel have as far as, was she found? Was she kind of an owner just decided to...
The famous Dropbox thing.
Oh, my.
Yeah, that's honest and truly 95% of what we get in here is Dropbox.
Oh, my. And
the other... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and Sean, we've got feedback on the line. Please, if you can turn that down just a little bit. When they drop them off, I mean, there's always an opportunity. Will you be checking those every day at a certain hour, or will those animals just be kind of laying there shivering in the cold for a while?
No. When they drop them in the boxes, I get here at 6:30 in the morning. That's the first place I go.
I see.
I go right out there to check to make sure. What we do, and especially now, is we put dog houses with blankets inside of there, plus food and water, so that they have an opportunity to get out of that cold weather.
Oh, my.
Yeah, no, I am adamant about that, and especially in the winter. So, but I do get, when people leave little dogs, like, that are less than 4 or 5 months old or whatever, little puppies, it drives me nuts. It's like, why would you want to do that to a poor little thing? Because it's too cold out there for them.
Well, what happened to the word responsibility? I mean, it sounds like this little dog Pretzel. How old is that dog, Deb?
She might be 2.
Okay.
Like I said, she's been in here playing with the other pup that I've got in here that has been adopted, but he just came to get his extra shots.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, she's been in here playing with him. She's, like I said, she's totally house trained. Goes right to the door. And it's like, why would you get rid of it? And she's tan and black, or tan and white. And she's just a sweetheart.
Yeah. But the word responsibility comes up in my mind where pet owners, it's such an easy way out, unfortunately, just to drop a dog off and walk away. To me, that's pretty calloused.
Well, to me, it's like, I only have one child, and believe me, there was many times I wanted to give her away, but there's no way. These four-leggeds that I have, and you know this because you know me, they're my kids.
Right.
I do more for them than I can't say that, but I make sure they're taken care of 24/7 because they're my children.
Okay, now, along with...
Like you, I don't get anybody that can just take one and have it for a while and then get rid of it. It's like, why?
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, what about another dog other than Pretzel? Now, Pretzel sounds to me like it would be an ideal family situation dog to where that little dog could enjoy the inside of a house with kids. It's housebroken, and it sounds to me like it'd be a welcome addition to anybody's family.
Yeah, because she loves everybody. And then I have an older retriever lab cross. Now, her name is Des. She is black, but she's got the the red highlights of the retriever, and she's got the hair of the retriever. She, too, is a owner surrender. I don't know why they got rid of her. She was in the drop box, but she is also in my office playing with the little guys.
And
yeah, I've got like 5 dogs in here. It's a train wreck right now.
Okay. Well, now what about this dog? You said her name is Bev. Is that right?
Des, yeah. Oh. And she is also house trained. And again, she gets along with all size dogs, and she loves people, and she's very, very low key.
Okay. So we've got 2 different kinds of dogs to talk about this morning. How big is the Retriever Lab Cross? How big is the dog right now?
She's she's full grown. She's retriever size.
Okay.
So she's, on the bigger side of things, but she's calmer than a lot of pups. I mean, if somebody's looking for an older dog that's going to be low key and just be a pal, this will be her.
Okay. Now, give us the circumstances again of the criteria that have to be met before people can become the new owners of these dogs. What do they have to do? I had a lady call me last week and say, well, can anybody just walk in and get a dog? And I said, no, there's certain criteria. Why don't you explain that?
Okay, what I look for when people come in to look for dogs, and they can call me or they, and tell me what they're looking for, and I'll tell them if I've got it. But when they come in here, the first thing that I honestly look at, and the girls look at too, is how does that dog react to that person? If that dog does not react well to that person, it's not going to work, because the dog adopts the people. I totally believe that. Everything we've ever gotten out of here has adopted the owner. And they do it. So I kind of watch for that. I also try to match what the people are actually looking for to the dogs I have.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as adopting, I've got a one-page adoption thing. Like I said, our current protocol is that as soon as they get here, they get everything but their rabies shot. And when they get ready to be adopted, I set them up for their spay and neuter. So their adoption fee covers spay, neuter, and rabies, and everything else. So
Absolutely.
That when they're done here, they're good for a year.
Absolutely.
And then they just need boosters.
Okay. Deb, we've got a caller with a question quickly, so we'll take that call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air, please.
This isn't so much a question, but I just want to let everybody know that you can support the Minidoka County Animal Shelter when you do your purchases through Amazon. If you go through their Smiles program, they get 0.5% of whatever your purchase is donated to them. I don't know if Deb's ever mentioned that or not.
I haven't, because I've spaced it.
I think it's
it's important for everybody to know that. And what happens with that program is whenever you make a purchase through Amazon, if you do it through their Smiles program, it doesn't cost you anything. It's not any additional cost to the consumer. You just join it. You make your purchases through smile.amazon.com, and then I believe it's at the end of the year, maybe quarterly, that they actually send a check to the Minidoka County Animal Shelter.
Wonderful. I love the idea and the concept. Thank you very much for your call. Thank you. You know, Deb, let me ask you that kind of falls into my next question that I was going to ask you. I mean, let's face it, money's tight right now, and all these dogs and the care for these dogs and the feed and the facilities, etc. Holy smokes, what would you like the general public to know as far as what they can do to help you?
Well, of course, dog food's been one of our biggest things. And again, I am thankful to this community because we have received a lot of donations of dog food. And we need it. I've had volunteers come in and help us with the dogs. We need that. Honest and truly, this community has been great to us, and I am praying that they keep going for it. As far as donations and everything, but right now, like I said, you know, the dog food's the biggest thing because I've got 30 dogs in here right now.
Oh my!
Again.
Oh my! Well, all I can say is, and would you please take about 30 seconds and talk also about your affiliation with Wagon Tails Rescue along with Minidoka Animal Control, quickly, please.
Yes. Wagon Tails is one of our sponsors, well, is our only sponsors for spay and neuters, so everything that gets adopted out of here, we can sign up with them, and the animal can get fixed for $25 if it's your personal animal. If it's the first adoption of the month, Wagon Tails sponsors 100% of that spay or neuter. So she's a phenomenal lady, great to work with, and again, you know, and she too runs on donations. So,
absolutely.
But they're great to us. I love it.
Deb Hines, I always look forward to you being on the air. We've got a little bitty terrier mix and a retriever lab mix that we featured this morning. Get a hold of Deb quickly. What's the telephone number for people to call?
208-438-2200.
Thanks, Deb. God bless you, and thank you so much for being on the program. Talk to you next Monday.
All right. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Dog Days, and co-sponsored by Minidoka Animal Control and the Wagon Tails Rescue. Holy smokes, I've got to get the weather on quickly, and the weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and his great staff at 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com, and check out all the delicious meats, all the hams and the turkeys and the tri-tips and the pork ribs and the bacons of different flavors and all the sausages. Oh, the list goes on. You be sure and get a hold of them today. Scarro's Meats over in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Drying out for the next couple of days, then more rain showers. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting partly to mostly cloudy skies for today. A slight breeze out of the south, high right around 54. Tonight, clouds are going to stick around with a low of 31. Tomorrow, partly sunny skies, still a little bit breezy, high of 57. By Tuesday night, more clouds with a low of 39. Slight chance of rain showers for Wednesday, high of 50. Thursday, back to partly sunny skies and 46. That's a look at your weather for Zeb Duran.
Thank you, Gina. And, of course, brought to you by our friends at Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number 324-7657. And it's so true. At Scarro's Meats, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and I do not know this gentleman, but I am so appreciative that he sent me some information about a great big community prayer rally that's going to be at Freedom Park this coming Saturday. Dennis Hakes, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Doing fine, thank you.
Well, Dennis, give me a little background about you and where this idea came up about a community prayer rally. Tell us about it.
I had the privilege of going to the President Trump election rally in Miami-Dade County and met some great people there. and got home, had the election, saw the results, became very concerned. And so the only relief I could get, Deb, was to pray and read the scriptures. That's all I could do. And something came to me that you should organize a prayer rally in your community and gather people of all faiths, no barriers, and bring them together and in supplication to our Heavenly Father that He will intervene and help us through this difficult period.
Absolutely. Dennis,
go ahead.
I wanted to interrupt you there because we're short on time, and I want you to elaborate a little bit and speak up a little louder and right into your mouthpiece. But tell us a little bit about what happened in Miami, Florida, as far as what really scared you or made you very concerned when you came home.
Zeb, I stood in line for 14 hours, and I got the opportunity to talk to these patriots that have come from Cuba, Venezuela, Colombia, and their experiences, and they would get their phones and they would show me pictures of what the conditions are and what their families are experiencing, and if they speak out against the government, they are imprisoned, and their inability to get food. And they would just cry. Every one of them would cry. And they said, this is the greatest country in the world. We've come here. We're so lucky. We cannot let this go down. And before I thought, well, immigration, that's really nice for those people that they could come and immigrate and be good for them, you know. But, Zeb, we need those good people to infuse enthusiasm and make us realize what we really have here.
You know, I'm sitting...
The greatest nation in the world, the only one with a Constitution of freedom, and we can't let it down.
Let me ask you this, Dennis, and you know that I'm a staunch conservative, and you know that I am definitely not a supporter of the left or any of their policies. What really concerns you, the way this election turned out possibly for Biden and Harris, and what about the future if they are allowed to govern? What are your thoughts?
The first thing they're going to do, they've already said it, Greg. They'll lock this country down. They'll teach us that this is exactly what the Cuban said when Castro took over. He said, "Oh, I'm going to take away a few of your freedoms so that you'll be safe." And the people said, "Oh, good, the government's going to make us safe." And then they took more. They took more freedoms away from these people. And they said, "Well, okay, if they kept us safe, now they're going to help us a little more." And then they kept taking more from these people until they were completely had no freedom left at all. And it's like it went over smoothly, and they were in captivity before they even knew what was happening.
Dennis,
that's what happened. They took their freedom over what they thought was a good cause to keep them safe. And the Biden-Harris team has already said that they will do that.
Let me ask you...
It talks about their truth and reconciliation camps for anybody that supported anybody but their candidate.
Right.
I never thought in my lifetime I would ever hear the word socialism, let alone anybody vote for it.
Yeah. Dennis, what's the criteria that you're going to have at this community prayer rally? Give us a little background of what it's going to be, how it's going to be structured.
We are going to post the colors. We're going to have some beautiful gospel music playing. We're going to sing the Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to have 4 prayers by just different members of the community. No church leadership, just community members. And then we're going to sing God Bless America, and then we're going to retrieve the colors and go home.
I just absolutely commend you for what you're trying to do, and I'm going to keep plugging this right up to when I'm off the air on Thursday, and I just urge everybody to be a part of it. It's going to be at Freedom Park, and please explain exactly where it's going to be held.
It'll be right by the Burley Airport. Everybody knows where the Burley Airport is, the National Guard, Armory, the Little League ball field. There's plenty of parking. And Zeb, the more people we get there to lend their faith, we will protect this community, and God will hear us.
I totally agree. 2 p.m. Saturday, this coming Saturday, November 21st, at the Freedom Park next to the Burley Airport and the Little League Field. It's the Community Prayer Rally, and in God we trust. Absolutely. Bring your American flags. And Dennis Hakes, I thank you so much for coming on the program with us this morning, and I'll keep telling everybody about it every single day.
Thank you, Zeb, and God bless America. And God bless the community that we live in.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, my dear friend. Yes, we're going to really feature this every day on my program. This man took it upon himself to organize something that a lot of us always think about, never get it done. A community prayer rally for our country, the United States of America. In God we trust. Wow. I just really heard the fervor and the excitement, enthusiasm in that man's voice, and I thank him for coming on the program. Dennis Hakes, thank you very much. I want to also remind you about our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires for all your driving conditions. And we're probably going to be seeing some of that muck and yuck and snow on the highways. They've got all the tread designs, all the sizes for all vehicles. You stop in and see them today, along with the very best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. Oh, batteries with those colder temperatures. Make sure your battery isn't going to croak on you. You go out and turn the key and it goes click, 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 click. Get a good battery from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Give you the location. Stop in and see them today. James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin Falls, the Twist family in Paul, nice people, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Nobody better, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Who's going to be on tomorrow? Well, we've got Andrew Pollack coming on the air, along with Dan Kish, talking about energy. Dr. History's going to be here. John Stemberger's going to be here talking about the elections. We've got a full plate. You tune in tomorrow morning at 8:06, and we always wrap up the program by saying the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the 4 words that mean the most to me: in God we trust. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06, Zeb at the Ranch.